Have any of you been playing a role-playing game and found that sometimes in turn-based play, you sort of do your own thing, pass the turn to the next player who also just kind of does their own thing, and then passes the turn, and each of you is kind of operating as an island? Well, I think that we can, as designers, help facilitate more teamwork within our tabletop role-playing games. Hi, I'm Peter, creator and lead designer of Tales from Elsewhere, and I've been playing TTRPGs for 26 years now, and this channel is about game design philosophy, not necessarily trying to make you a better GM, but a better designer of homebrew or your own role-playing games. So I'd like to talk today about the design around teamwork facilitation within TTRPGs. All right, walk with me here as I work through these concepts, okay? I think there are two types of teamwork systems within a TTRPG. You have concrete systems in which the game rules explicitly tell you how teaming up works, and you have emergent structures which are facilitated by the rules but not called out explicitly, and I'll unpack what I mean by both of these. If you've played any modern D&D, you've probably used the help action at one point or another. That's where you use your action during your turn to give an ally advantage on their next skill test before the end of their next turn, or whatever the exact rules are. This is the classic example of a concrete teamwork option. The game rules are giving you an explicit structure for how you can help another player. You could describe how you give them a leg up to climb the wall and thereby give them advantage, right? You press this button, they have advantage on their next check. The nice thing about concrete teamwork options is you can rely on them to always work. There's no necessarily bartering with the GM if this makes sense or it doesn't, and you can use it when you really need it. Concrete options are really helpful in games because the players don't have to search for a way to help one another, and the presence of those rules tells the players they can help each other if they do this, thereby incentivizing that behavior. The drawback of that structure is it can sometimes remove some of the roleplay or creativity that it goes into helping one another. If it's just a button you push to grant advantage on their next check, then it starts to lose some of that immersive quality. You've probably experienced the guidance spell being just slapped onto your other players all day long during modern D&D. It's the same kind of problem. If it doesn't actually draw the players in, sometimes it can feel a little tacked on. But having a little something like that is usually better than nothing. Now, I'm distinguishing this sort of structure from, say, a buff spell in an RPG because buff spells, while helping other players, are part of class features or magic systems and aren't part of necessarily the problem-solving core system the game is creating. Those can also help, of course, if you have things that heal or enhance another character. Those are concrete ways in which you can team up, but they're not quite in the same incentivization structure as, say, the help action is. And that's because, not everybody has access to the enhanceability spell, right? Magic and all of these bespoke class features aren't part of the universal helping each other or teaming up kit that all players would have access to. They're bespoke mechanics given to certain classes or abilities or features. Those are still good and useful for providing teamwork options, but you can see why I'm sort of separating those out from something universal like a help action. Now, emergent is a little trickier. This is where the gameplay structures incentivize the players to coordinate without telling them they have to coordinate. And there's a couple examples I can give of this. Now, despite my thoughts on the legendary resistance system in modern D&D, I don't think it's very good. It actually is a great example of emergent teamwork that you can have in boss battles. This is because a boss might only have 3 legendary resistances it can use to automatically succeed when it would fail on certain saving throws. It means the team could try to wear down that resource for the boss to facilitate that disintegrate spell that your wizard has ready to go, right? You throw medium level spells that would be annoying for that boss, so they start spending that resource, and then you hit them with your disintegrate, and maybe your Circle of the Stars druid uses the woe feature to give them a penalty, or your other character does a mind sliver on them to reduce their saving throw, right? You kind of pile on when they're out of that defensive feature. That is emergent teamwork that is the result of certain mechanics. Because the solo boss can auto-succeed only a certain number of times, the players are incentivized to burn through those and then hit them with something big that emerges as a result of the rules without being explicit. And that applies to any game that has a sort of reaction-heavy defensive structure. My game, Tales from Elsewhere, makes use of this in that there are some threats with very powerful defensive reactions, like being able to block very effectively. So if some players distract an enemy or throw out some attacks to try to get them to use up their reactions, it can leave them open to the dead-eye sniper on the hill who then takes that one clean shot to take them down. A little bit in a 1 HP dragon sort of sense, which is a whole separate subject I will be doing a video on later. But you can see how it is the result of the rules, rather than the explicit direction of the rules, that coordination happens. And I think an important wrinkle in how you can facilitate that is actually your turn-based or initiative structure in a game. This can facilitate or impede teamwork to a huge degree. Very strict initiative systems where the players don't have a lot of control over how the order of play occurs can often work against emergent teamwork. This is because you could have the best plan, but if the dice from your initiative rolls doesn't line up with that, it could mean that your cool 1-2 punch actually is negated simply by the action economy. And there's a really common example that I've experienced in D&D. One of the more concrete emergent ways that you can help allies in modern D&D is to shove an enemy prone to give your melee combatants advantage on their attacks to hit them. Classic stuff. You knock them over and then the great weapon master fighter just obliterates the guy on the ground because now he has advantage on each swing. The problem is if I shove that monster prone, if the monster goes next, they just get up. And there's no ability for the fighter to team up with me on that. And now you may be saying, well, why don't you just ready your actions? That cannot always work out super well either, because as an example, when you ready to attack, you're not readying the full attack action, you're readying only a single swing. And a big power aspect of the fighters is their ability to swing multiple times during their turn. These sort of disjuncts work against your ability to have emergent teamwork experiences. And it's why I like more free-form or collaborative initiative structures like side-based initiative or spotlight initiatives, where you have more control over the sequence of events that occurs during a fight, so that you can collaborate with another player and team up in a way that actually synchronizes. I use side-based initiative in Tales from Elsewhere, and I really like it, but the whole game needs to be designed around it for it to work properly. But by having the system say the players use all of their actions in whatever order they wish, it's left the door open and allowed the teamwork to occur from there. I've had lots of players simply go around the table in an almost strict initiative order, where I do my 2 actions, then I do my 2 actions, and you do your 2 actions, so on and so forth, without a whole lot of collaboration, and that's totally fine. The game doesn't force you to collaborate with others. But I've seen the immense power and joy of the team-up attacks occur when people really lean into this team aspect and coming up with a plan together and then executing on it. Now again, I don't think emergent and concrete are in conflict with one another, and I think including both is good. I have both in my game. There's a concrete way to assist other people on their skill test, but there's also emergent things that occur through the nature of the surrounding rules. I think having a little bit of both in a game is a good balance for gameplay. When players don't necessarily want to be super creative with how they help each other, but they want to try to help, you have more concrete options, but then you also have these open-ended invitations for the players to explore the rule structure of the game and find ways to collaborate and team up to take down the monsters. So what do y'all think about my dichotomy that I've created here? Do you think it's an accurate reflection of how TTRPGs are designed when it comes to teamwork? And have you played any games that have really cool, concrete, or emergent team-up systems? I'd love to know more. I'm always on the lookout for more games to study. So let me know in the comments if you have any ideas like that. And while you're down there, consider hitting like and subscribe, and maybe even checking out some of the links I put in the description. We have a Patreon page, a Discord server, even a Kickstarter we ran last year that was fully funded, the book of which should be really coming out in just another couple months at this point. I'm really excited to get that out into the world. Anyway, that's enough ranting from me today. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope to see you here next time on Tales from Elsewhere.